All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music, real high prices, and doing it in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, I'm going to talk about how the concert industry and rock bands in particular might be ripping you off a little bit. Just a little bit. Anyway, before I get there, High South, I got this earlier this year. Highly recommended band that somebody told me about quite a while ago. And I pursued this band. And holy crap, Batman. Again, if you like the Doobie Brothers, America, the Eagles, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Poco, Firefall. But High South definitely has its own vibe. This is their latest effort called Feel This Good. So there you go. There's your classic rock tip of the day, music you won't hear on your local terrestrial radio repeater, which just repeats the same music over and over again since like 1970. All right. So, man, they're in a holding pattern out there. So what rock band earned the most money? The Rolling Stones. All right. And then U2. Now, how much money are these bands earning? The Rolling Stones took the top spot with $2 billion, yes, $2,165,280,638 in ticket sales. Now, I get it. This is gross income, right? Gross in the sense that it's way too much. But, you know, I understand there's overhead. They got to pay the band, right? They pay the band, they pay the roadies, they pay the arena. And what are they left with after that payout? You know, after they earn $2 billion. My guess is they're probably left with at least $1.5 billion, right? Something like that. I don't know. But it's got to be a lot of money. So if you're wondering why bands continue to hold on, like, again, the Eagles are on their farewell tour. Aerosmith was supposed to be on a farewell tour. This is a very lucrative business, and people apparently are punching way above their financial weight class when they're buying tickets. Most of these people who are buying tickets, they might earn a low six-figure salary, but they're spending like they earn seven figures, and it's crazy. I guess, you know, if it's the last time that the Stones are coming around, but yet they keep showing up. You know, they put an album out. They've got concert dates for next year. So you can pretty much count on that the Stones are going to make that amount of money, if not more. Because, again, the promoters will say things like, this could be the last time the Stones roam the earth. And you're going to be like, oh, no, I've got to see. See, I saw the Stones. I'm good. I saw them on the Steel Wheels tour. I'm good. People ask me, how come you don't want to see them again? Because I saw them when they weren't ancient, okay? It's just Paul McCartney, same thing, 1990. Saw Paul McCartney. His wife, Linda, was there. He had this amazing band. He didn't sound like an old croaky frog out there. And so, to me, I'm good. I'm covered with that. So, but how much money are these bands netting after these gross incomes? Let's take a look at some of these, right? So Billy Joel, who's been on this perpetual Madison Square Garden thing, and then he's expanded and done more shows, hanging out with Stevie Nicks, which I think is kind of an oddball combination. But, you know, apparently I have a problem with Stevie Nicks, and people have noticed that. Anyway, he made $1.1 billion. All right, I'm just going to simplify this. Paul McCartney, kind of slumping here. He also made $1.1 billion. Metallica, $1.2 billion. The Eagles, of course, $1.3 billion. Bon Jovi, kind of surprising here at $1.3 billion as well. Bruce Springsteen at $1.5 billion. Come on, Bruce. I mean, with those ticket prices, you should be close to 2 billion. Elton John, who raked in 1.7 billion on his so-called farewell tour. And then you've got U2, who I think just did like a Vegas residency or something. They're at $2.1 billion. U2 has been a big deal since the 80s as far as each thing they do is just bigger than the previous thing, even if it's not. They successfully built the excitement around their live shows. And they're a good band. They're not my favorite band at all. I liked them more back in my youth, my college radio days, but I respect U2 and I like them better than pretty much all the current pop music and stuff that's out there. Although U2, again, not really a pop band, kind of a classic rock alternative band. But man, they just get people to spend the farm to go see them. So it's U2 and the Rolling Stones, and over $2 billion. So if you wonder, if you were wondering why these ticket prices are the way they are, right? These bands apparently have to make billions of dollars in order to survive, right? Because you can't survive in this world unless you're grossing $2 billion. Because again, what is your net income going to look like? Is it going to be like a paltry 1.2 billion or something? Are you going to have to just take the first billion and give it to the promoters and the venues and the merch people? I'm sure the merch people are making slightly over minimum wage or something. It's really a sad state of affairs. It seems to be a very top-down corporation when it comes to the concert industry. And then, of course, you have the marketeers out there, the Live Nations and the Ticket Masters, and everybody's probably getting their cut before the band can see the profits. And they're still all left with, what, $1 million each? No, probably like 10 million each. Each band member is probably making 10 or 20 or $30 million each, depending on what their contract says. So, yeah, a hired hand like Stuart Smith or whatever might get, 1/10 of what Joe Walsh earns at the Eagles farewell. But, Don Felder, who... Don Felder, I wonder if they would have ever written Felder in as a full partner if he had just kept his mouth shut. Said, hey, Don, because you've been a good boy and you don't want to do profit sharing, we're going to finally give you what you deserve, 20, 30 years after the fact. So I don't know, folks. It looks as though some of these concerts are a bit of a ripoff. This is price gouging. This is what they do to you at the gas pump. When the economy goes south, they say, hey, it's a bad economy. We need to charge $4 a gallon. And you find out that the oil company made like $1 trillion or something. And you're like, oh, how do they make $1 trillion? I don't get it. Shouldn't they pass some of those prices, the lower prices, on to consumers? So we're not worried about, being able to buy groceries. But no, not at all. So the concert industry taking advantage of the fact that the classic rock era is almost over. It could go on for maybe another 5 years, depending on what band you're talking about. But all these bands are quitting, dropping out, health issues. Steven Tyler broke his larynx. They were supposed to go out on tour. The names of these bands have been pimped out where there are no original members. And even worse, they don't even sound anything like the original band. So in any event, those are all factors, and people are still buying tickets. I mean, this list, at least you've got people that are, still around, although the Eagles essentially are Don Henley and Joe Walsh and Tim Schmidt, right? I think people go to see those guys. Bon Jovi, yeah, John's there, but his voice is not. Bruce Springsteen, okay, he's fairly well intact with his E Street Band. Elton John, this is his last go round, or was supposedly. Now, Metallica, they could go for another 10, 20 years easily. I don't know. And U2, same thing. They could go another 10 or 20 years. So U2 and Metallica are probably going to pick up the slack for the Stones and Elton John and the Eagles. But man, $1 billion, really? You need $1 billion? Apparently they do. Apparently, in order to make ends meet at the Metallica household, they need $2 billion. Oh man. Then you've got bands like this out there anonymously. Nobody knows who they are. High South. It's like living in two different worlds here. I talk about this stuff, and then the same old names are in the news, and it's boring. It's so boring. Imagine if there was a support system promoting new music so it could take over for all of these geezer bands that are bilking you. Maybe you'd have other choices. Yeah, I was going to go see Elton John, but I wound up going to see this new band that might be around for the next 30 or 40 years. And, maybe I'm not that old. Somebody who's younger who appreciates this kind of music, but all these bands are going to be gone pretty soon. It's just a dilemma. It's a dilemma. And we're all kind of stuck in this dilemma because the industry did this to us. And for those of you who like the music from the 90s or the double zeros or whatever you want to call it, good for you. Good for you. You've got some music to listen to for a while, maybe, and you probably won't have to spend a fortune on concert tickets. But when it comes to classic rock, they do this because they know they can get away with it. So there you have it. Rock bands charging you too much money and making billions of dollars off the backs of hardworking Americans or retired people with lots of disposable income. Either way, it's not a good look.